Thank you. Well, as somebody who's been to these Volution conferences over the year, I am thrilled that you can be here in the Twin Cities. I've been all over the country, and we are privileged to have you here. You're the folks who are making change all over this country, and we're all going to learn from you here, and we're very, very happy that you're here. I just want to say a couple things about my colleagues. This is not your normal DOT commissioner. Charlie's a great leader, and it's great to work with him. Sue brings a history as a former county commissioner. We love that. But she also runs Habitat for Humanities here in the Twin Cities, and she brings that sensibility about equity and justice to the work that she's doing at the Metropolitan Council. So we're lucky to have these two great leaders to work with here in this region. Yes, that's a great... So I moved here to go to graduate school and fell in love with the place, and I never left. I came from New Jersey, grew up in Pennsylvania, but I came here and fell in love with it. And we hope you fall in love with this region as well while you're here. We've had a good year this year. We've had the Union Depot opening, Target Field Station opening up, the Cedar Avenue Busway. We have municipal consent on our third LRT line southwest. We have Bottineau entered the New Start process for another LRT line. And, of course, we opened the Green Line. But it wasn't always like this. It wasn't always like this, and this is a familiar story to many of you. 25 years ago, we had cars and buses. That was about it. LRT was just an idea, and frankly, it was an idea that was attacked by a lot of the big institutions and the opinion leaders in this region. It wasn't an easy deal. I can show you the scars, but we'll skip that for now. But that was the atmosphere. Biking infrastructure was limited, incredibly limited. Growth was horizontal. We're at the edge of the plains, and you could just keep going. That was the pattern. And there were lots of people who were saying transit wouldn't work in Minnesota, and rail transit in particular. So what happened? What happened? We had some advocates for light rail transit. It came out of, as it did in Portland, it came out of a freeway fight. Came out of a freeway fight. The advocates, the community got together and said, we need something better than just 6 lanes of freeway in a trench and 4 lanes of frontage road that's going to divide our community. And it took a long, long time to finally get to building this. And during that period of time, we had advocates. And here it is a bit of an anomaly. Counties have authority through our rail authorities. We have taxing authority and planning authority. Other places, cities have a much, much bigger role. So the counties have a big role here. We went for a number of years, and Chris is going to talk about this a little bit. We were fighting among ourselves in this region. It wasn't pretty. Everybody wanted to, get the first line, and nothing happened. So finally, we came to a consensus, and we developed a plan. We developed a consensus within the region about how we were going to march forward, and we marshaled the politics behind that. We got the business community behind this vision. They hadn't been, to be honest. They'd never really stepped up. But on Hiawatha, they stepped up. They've got scars to show it, too, because they went to the legislature to face the hostile audience. This unified vision, getting our ducks in line, that was always the instruction I had from Congressman Sabo and Congressman Oberstar. Get your ducks in line back home, keep them in line, and we'll do our best to help you. And they did a heck of a job. They really, truly did. Without them, we wouldn't be where we are today. Then the transformation really came into place. We opened the Hiawatha line. The critics were calling it the train to nowhere, and it blew the doors off the ridership projections right out of the chute. All of a sudden, this notion that Minnesotans wouldn't ride rail transit just went out the window. The train to nowhere, that's what the critics called it. And I always like to say that there's a hell of a lot of people going nowhere in this region, because if that's the case. But really, truly, that was the transformational moment. After all these factors, we finally got our act together, but the thing that did it was performance. We had a line that people embraced, high ridership. We started getting real estate investment, and so from there we moved forward. The structural problem that we solved was a lack of a dedicated funding source. And the legislature in 2008 overrode Governor Pawlenty's veto of the transportation bill, which is except when Jesse Ventura was governor, there weren't overrides of governor's vetoes in this state. But in this case, there was an override to create a transportation bill. And it included the authority for counties in the metropolitan area to tax their taxpayers, their property owners, for expansion of the transit system. And so 5 counties in the metropolitan area, within 5.5 weeks of the override, we had created a joint powers board. We had created the agreement for how we were going to govern this pot of money, because all the money was going to go in, and we imposed a 1/4-cent sales tax in each of the 5 counties. That tax has now, we've now committed over $1 billion in just 6 years. It's why Central Corridor, the Green Line, was built. It's why we're moving forward on Southwest. And so that structural problem, once we solve that, then we could move forward to doing multiple lines across this region and building out the system that we want. We've seen, you know, you've heard the reports on the Green Line and all the great ridership there. But that story, getting that structural problem solved and working together. I always said my job with the counties across the region, and they differ greatly. My job as chair of the County's Transit Improvement Board was to teach all those county commissioners on the board how to sing that old Ruby and the Romantic song, "Our Day Will Come." And they had to believe that their day was going to come and that their lines were going to come, and we've been delivering on that promise. The other part of this is the creation of a different vision for how the transportation system was going to work and how our development pattern is going to work. It was about not exclusion, which you could argue much of what the freeway building era was about, with the restrictive covenants on housing and the like. That was about exclusion and separating people. We are developing a vision here of inclusion, connecting people to jobs all over the region and creating opportunity. That's what excites me the most, is we're actually creating not only a new landscape for physical development, but we're also trying to figure out ways to include all of our residents in the economic prosperity that we're seeing here. So I would be remiss if I didn't say to you, we need a federal transportation bill that's longer than 6 months. And we know what's happening to the gas tax revenue, so people are going to need to step up, and Congressman Blumenauer's got a bill in to raise the gas tax so they have the revenue that we need. But we've got to be talking to our residents, we've got to be talking to the businesses in our communities to say, no great nation has built its infrastructure 6 months at a time and prospered. And we're not going to do that either. So we need to move forward. So in conclusion, I just want to urge you to get out and see this area. See Minneapolis and St. Paul and the surrounding area. It's a beautiful place. I fell in love with it. I think you will too. The bike trails and everything else are just spectacular. So enjoy our region and enjoy the conference. Thank you very much.